Hi, I'm Rob from Sherpa Consultants, and I'm showing you how easy it is to create your own systems using the Sherpa Infinity application. In this lesson, lesson number 8, we're going to build on what we did in lesson number 7, in that we're going to create some more custom pages. So we're going to add to that, and we're going to actually create a detail custom page. So in lesson 7, we created the list view. Now we're going to create the detail that links off the back of it, and we're going to actually link it in. We're also going to look in a bit more detail at the page objects. We did see these in lesson 7 when we were creating our custom page. We're just going to look at some of the options that you have. And then lastly, what we're going to do is we're going to create an advanced page group, which makes use of pages that you've already created within pages. Okay, that'll make more sense when we actually get around to it. So I'm not going to go too much into it now. So let's crack on. So just as a recap, in the previous lesson, what we did is we created a custom list view page called Invoice Details, which we have here. If you remember, we controlled which buttons it had on it. So in this example, we only gave it a edit button, which you can see on here. So there's no add buttons, there's no delete buttons, crucially. We wanted to leave that off, but we do have an edit button. At the minute, we didn't link that to anything, so we didn't link it to a page. So if I click on that, you can see it just goes to a blank page. Okay, so what we want to do now is we want to create the detail page that takes you to. So in the menu, we will go to Settings, Pages. Okay, so there you can see my invoice details, which are created. I am going to create a new page. I'm going to call this Invoice Edit. Page type will be details this time. Remember, details are the page type that you use if you're creating records or editing records. The primary table for this, again, is invoices. And I'm going to have a save because I do want them to be able to make changes and then save. I'm also going to include the save and back. I'll explain the difference again in those when we actually get to the page and view it. And I'll also give them the option to back out. So if I just give them a back button, if they change their mind and want to go back to the list view. Okay. Again, in lesson 7, we glossed over this after click page, but this is the page that it will take you to after the user has clicked the button. Now, we had to gloss over it in the first one because we hadn't built the page yet, but in this example, we can actually say, go back to the invoice detail page that we created. So in this list, what I want to do is the back button, I want to take it back to the invoice details, and also the save and back button. Okay. I don't want the save button to go back to anything. I want the save button just to stay on the page and save the information. Okay, and that's the main difference between the save and the save and back. Once I'm happy with that, you can click on the next. Okay, again, you can see all the fields that you want on there. So let's bring in the fields we want them to change. So invoice number, invoice date. We don't need all the fields. We can just be selective over which ones we want. So I'm just going to give them those 4 fields. Okay, while I'm on this screen, I will explain a bit more about the page object options that you have. What we call these page objects. You can see we've got 4 of them. We've dragged 4 on. You can delete them if you wanted to by clicking on the X, the delete, to remove it. But you've also got this little pencil here which lets you edit. And what this lets us do is actually give them a custom label. Okay, so I could call that quantity if I wanted to. So you could just call it whatever you wanted. Again, we're adding to these page options every time. So we're developing new features and sticking them into these page object options sections. So keep looking back and look out for further videos that will do a bit of explanation around that new functionality as and when we release them. But for now, we can customize the label. Okay, and then once you're happy with this page, you can click on the save, and that should take us back to the pages. And now we can see the invoice edit. So I can go and have a look at that, but at the minute it's just blank. So it shows us the page objects, but there's no data in there, okay? So the next thing I need to do is link that back in to the original list view page that we created. So if I just click on the back icon there and find our invoice details, click on edit. Okay, and you can see here's our edit button ticked. What we want to do is link that into our invoice edit. I don't want to make any changes to the page object, so I'll just click save. And now, if we go and look at that invoice details, what we should see is if I click on the edit button, there we can see I can make these changes now. So I can click 0. I can either do save to stay on the record, or I can click save and back, which will take us to our list view. Okay, and that's it, easy. So that's what we've done there in that first part of the lesson, is we've just created the detail page, which we linked into the list view page, which we created in the previous lesson. The next thing I want to do is I want to do the same thing, but I want to show you some functionality which makes use of these pages within the pages itself. Okay, so we'll crack on. It's easier once you see it. But the first thing I'm going to try and create is I want to basically create a list view page that shows all of the customers, but I don't want the user to be able to do anything. So I'm not going to include any delete buttons. I'm not going to include any save buttons. This particular page group is just going to be about viewing the information. Okay, so if I go back into our pages, okay, and I click add. So I'm going to call this customer list, for example. It's going to be a list view. Primary table this time is going to be customers. As I said before, I don't want to include the add. I don't want to include the edit. Certainly don't want to include the delete. But what I'm going to do is give them this view button. It's just a different icon, but it make it clear that the user can only view information and not delete or edit. Again, I haven't got the page to link to yet, so I'm going to have to come back into this page after I've created the second page in the page group. So if I click on the arrow, so these, I've only got the customer fields here, so I'm going to just put some basic, so I'll leave out the phone number and contact name. I just want the address fields. And then click on save. Okay, so we've got customer list up at the top. So let's have a quick look at it just to make sure it all looks okay. And you can see here, on the left-hand side, that's my view icon. That's an eye. So that shows the user that they can just edit the view the information and not edit it or delete. Okay, so the first page is created. What I then want to do is go into, when the user does click on here, not only do I want to give the user the ability to view the other fields that we didn't put on this table, but what I would really like to do is show the user the invoices against that customer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag on the invoice page that we created in lesson 7, and I'm going to drag that onto the page that we're going to create, that this is going to link to. Okay, and you'll see that in a minute. You'll see how we do that. So let's go back to the pages. Click on my add. So give it a name. So I'm going to call it customer detail. Page type will be details. Primary table, again, will be customers. Okay, and I'm not going to include any delete saves, but I'm going to give them a back so that they can back out and go back to the list view. And here, because I've created my page already, because this is the second page, I can actually select from the list. So I want them to go to back to the customer list. Click on the next icon. So that takes us to our page canvas where we design the page. So I'm going to put all of the customer fields in, including the 2 that we missed off the list view. And here you can see these are all the sub pages that you can use. So because the system knows that we've got a table that is linked through a master detail field to the top level customer, it's also given us any pages where those tables are the primary table. So for example, all our invoice details, and that includes the system generated ones too. So we can drag on these. So I'm going to drag on my invoice details one, the one I created in lesson 7. So I'm just going to drag it on. And there you can see down at the bottom, it's giving it a bit of a funny name. So we're going to just rename that. So I'm going to give it a custom label. Okay. And I'm going to press save. Okay, so that's my 2 pages created. I just need to remember now I need to go back to the list view and link in the detail page to the button that we had on the list view. So go and find my customer list there. Click on the edit icon. And against the view button there, what I now should see is my customer detail. Click on the next icon. I don't want to make any changes to the page objects, so click on the save, and we're done. And just to show you what this looks like now, if I go and click open up the customer list, there's our list of customers. If I go and view this customer here, you can see it's given us the customer details, and here it's given us the invoices for that customer. Okay, so that's the crucial thing. The system is clever enough to only pass through the information that's relevant to the customer that I'm looking at. Okay, and just to prove that point, if I click on the back button up here, which will take me back to the list view, if I click on the different customer, it will show me the invoices related to that customer. Okay, lots more invoices against them. And that's it. How easy was that? Okay, now this is the last lesson in the series for now. We will be adding further future lessons as we start to develop and release the functionality. So really, it's now up to you to get out there and start having fun and creating your systems. For those of you who are interested, there is a further lesson that will be linked to at the end of this video. That will cover a bit of the more advanced functionality and looking at formula fields. I know we discussed it on the invoice number, for example. If you're interested in seeing how you do those, stick around for the next lesson. If not, go and get creating systems. Thanks for watching. See you soon.